Welcome to 5 Day with Jay. I am J.R. Murdoch. You can see the trash can kind of full. You do not want to see my desk right now. I have been cleaning out my desk. I have a desk with a section on one side with stuff in it, and a section with drawers with stuff in it, a printer stand with stuff in it, got a dresser behind me with stuff in it. All of that stuff I'm going through and purging as much as I can. I know I've got a lot more to go. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and I will be purging much more. Like I said, all of this is, like I said yesterday, all this is going to change. It's all going to be different very soon. I'll probably be doing tomorrow, probably the last day with that background back there. I'm not sure what I'll be doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I might be recording them on my phone. I don't know. It'll be interesting. We'll find out together, won't we? When last we spoke, I wanted to talk about my path to becoming a programmer. As I said during yesterday, I did a lot of electrical work in the Navy, electronics work. When I got out of the Navy, I didn't go straight back to school, but I eventually went up at ITT Tech and got an associate's as an electrical engineer. From there, I got a job at Qualcomm Personal Electronics, not Qualcomm, the parent company. Qualcomm Personal Electronics was a cell phone company, and my job there was to troubleshoot and repair cell phones. Not a glamorous job, but I've got stories from there that are fascinating. But to get to becoming a programmer, as I'd said during this week, when I was 12 years old, my dad gave me that programming book for the TRS-80, the Trash 80, Radio Shack computer, Tandy. And that was my first introduction to programming. A couple of years later, my brother and I moved from Minnesota to live with my dad in Colorado. Personal stuff I'll cover another time. And when I went to school, one of the courses I could take in 10th grade was computer programming. I had already learned how to program. I'd spent 2 years with that one little book, and my dad had gotten me another little one. And when we were on vacation there, that's when I learned to program, was living with my dad. Staying with my dad and then moving out there. So I'd already learned programming, and I was fascinated. And this was one of the first classes I took that I didn't really need to take. I'd already learned all of the material. So taking that class in 10th grade, the teacher at the onset made sure everybody knew he was a military programmer. You will comment your code, and your code will be as concise as possible. He does not give an A+. Period. I took mental note of that. By this time, I was coming into my own, and I was a lot more comfortable when it came to taking tests and schoolwork in general. Kindergarten through 6th grade, I was at best a C- student, at best. After 6th grade, once my dyslexia was identified, my Lisp was corrected, and they stopped forcing me to write in cursive, and I could take notes by printing, so I could actually read my notes. My cursive is, ask my favorite daughter, I should have been a doctor. But that programming class in 10th grade, nothing he taught me was new. I'd already learned it all. So he would give us a program to develop, give us 2 weeks to develop it. I would finish it within probably the first 10, 15 minutes of the class. And then I would spend the rest of the time goofing around, learning other things. That was where I sat in the corner of the room, and I'll have to find a picture of me so I can post it. But I sat in the corner of the room, and there was the modem next to me. And I would plug in the modem, and I'd be on BBS, bulletin board systems, BBS systems, just poking around, looking and reading about programming and other things. I discovered MUDs, multi-user dungeons, while sitting there. I did not do the work of that class beyond the first few minutes because I learned real fast how to code. So I was already done. As he would give the assignment, I'd be done. I would go around the classroom and help other people in the classroom because they were stuck. They could not learn it. To me, it clicked. It really did. When it comes to learning Spanish or the French classes I took, language, it does not get through. Programming, give me a programming language, I'll learn it. No problem. Lickety split. You want me to start learning Python? I'm on it. I'll figure it out. So during his class, one of the things I discovered with Apple Basic was there were peek and poke commands. So for the final project, he gave us a choice of 4 different assignments that we could do for the final. The first day, I wrote all 4. I remember one of them being a tic-tac-toe program, and it was literally would draw the grids for the X's and O's, and you would make your choice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You'd select where you wanted your X or O to be, and it would determine the winner. That was probably the most fun one to write. The rest of them were rather simple. Didn't take me long at all to write all 4 programs. I wrote a menu structure to assign them. One of the poke commands that I learned was to hide your entire program. And that was one of the things we had to do, is we had to print out our program and hand it in. So line 1, this is my final project, and the following line will hide my code from you. Line 2, boom, the poke command. The instructor ran my code, went through everything, loved it, looked at my 2 lines of code and said, there's no way. There's no way this is your entire program. I told the teacher, if you can reveal my code, I will accept an A in your class. If you cannot reveal my code and I am forced to reveal the code for you, I deserve an A+. Because that means I learned more than you know about programming. Oh, he was hot. He was hot. He took that as no student is going to challenge him. But he didn't say no. He spent the next 3 weeks trying to reveal my code. He could not figure it out. 3 weeks. Finally, after 3 weeks of asking other people in the community, he couldn't find what I had found by simply searching on a BBS. He came to me before class. I was always there early. He came to me before class and he said, you're going to show me what you did and how you found this. I pulled the sheet out of my notebook of all the peek and poke commands, and I handed it to him. And I said, here's the poke. That's my line number 2. Here's the peek command that reveals the code. And he looked at it, just stunned. And I said, that means I get an A+, right? And he looked at me and says, I have never in my entire teaching career given an A+. And it would be my honor to give it to you because you taught me something I never thought a student could teach me. Hey, I'll take that A+. I was very happy to take that A+. Needless to say, that drove me on a career with programming to, if somebody told me it could not be done, I'll prove you wrong. I'll prove you it can be done. Once I left Qualcomm and began working at the company I'm currently at, I started doing web development. Well, before web development, I started doing other things, but I can't get into what I did because of the company I work at. But needless to say, I started learning Unix level programming, and through that I began learning basic HTML, JavaScripting, and web development. This is in the mid 90s, before the internet was really a thing. I saw where it was going. And during that first couple of years, it took off. It took off like wildfire. Having taught myself some basic programming, a job I applied for, which was our internal ticketing system at the company, we dealt with Visual Basic. And through sheer force of will, I got the position. They were going to give it to somebody else, but after much discussion among the senior developers, just talking with me, they decided, you know what, this guy does not have the experience, but he's got to go get him. And I got the position. So one of the first things we did is they had a big list of all the different enhancements they wanted to do to the product that we were working on. One of them that somebody asked for was relative dates. That means rather than putting in a date range in a field and having to specify, you could say, I want today, and it would populate today's date. I want yesterday, and it'll populate yesterday's date. I want last month. It'll populate the dates for the last month. I want the last 30 days, and it'll calculate all of that out. Sounds easy now, but we're talking about 1999. I got told by one of the senior developers, can't be done. That's been out there as long as we've had this ticketing system. At least 6 or 7 years. It can't be done. It just can't. Don't tell me it can't. The trickiest part of the whole thing was calculating leap years. Once I got past that, I wrote the program in about 2 weeks, and I had it ready to deploy. And the senior developer wanted to sit down with me and review what I had done. And I walked him through my code, waiting for him to tell me, no, that's not it. Instead, he brought in the other senior developer on the team, and both of them looked at the code. Both of them dead silent as I'm walking through explaining what I had done and how I got it to work. They both nodded their heads and said, you know what? We need to get that out there because people have been asking for this for a long time. That was my introduction to the team, was literally writing something that they had both already said can't be done, and they had just written it off as something that couldn't be done. That's how I got my start. Next time we'll expand a little more on that. Expand on where I've been, where I've gone. That was 20 plus years ago. I've obviously done a lot since then and learned a lot more programming languages since then. But that's for next time.